And I've learned that purpose-driven people and mission-driven brands and YouTube channels last so much longer, have so much more fortitude when things get hard when it comes to growing on YouTube. And you might be like, Sean, bro, I'm just trying to get a couple of views, dog. Like, I don't know. I just want to get my YouTube channel to like 5,000 subs. I want to challenge you. Capture a bigger vision. Capture a bigger mission.
So how do you stand out on YouTube when you feel like there's a ton of competition? How do you make your videos better or different? And how are you able to get in front of the right audience? Well, in today's episode, Sean Cannell is going to be diving into 3 ways that you can stand out on YouTube this year. My name is Heather Torres, and you're listening to the Think Media Podcast, the #1 podcast to help you grow your influence on YouTube and then use that influence to grow a high impact and a high profit online business. And today's episode is brought to you by our free 5-day YouTube income and impact challenge. I'll tell you more about it afterwards, but you can go to ytimpact.com if you want to get registered right now. Well, let's jump into today's featured content with Sean Cannell.
So how do you stand out in a crowded niche in the midst of rising competition on YouTube? You know, this is a question that I think we all feel, especially if we feel like we're starting late, if we're just getting started and we are like, man, there's so many people that are already talking about what I want to talk about. There's so many people that are already covering my topic, my niche, my niche. And I think one of the foundational principles is not trying to beat everybody else or compare you just starting out to somebody else that's 5 years ahead of you. And like Sally Hogshead said, different is better than better. You got to find out how to be different, how to be unique. So let's talk about the most powerful way to stand out on YouTube. You know, I think that one of the biggest mistakes we can make when trying to beat the competition is trying to be better than the competition. You know, chances are there's always going to be somebody, quote unquote, better than you. So your goal is not to actually really be better. Your goal is to be different. It's to find your unique angle. It's for you to find your unique approach. And in this video, we're going to be going through layers of depth in terms of how you can really actually stand out that a lot of people don't talk about. You know, the first layer, and all of these tips, by the way, are based on the book Start With Why by Simon Sinek. And if you've never read the book before, it's a pretty good book. We'll link it up in the show notes, but you can also get a great summary on the TED Talk. That's about 15 minutes. That's for free on YouTube. But it talks about, you know, when we want to stand out as a company, as an author, as a YouTube creator, as a business owner, as a church, as anybody with a message, that the kind of shallowest level that we can stand out on is what we do. What we do. Trying to say, hey, the reason I'm different is because of what I do. But the problem with that is your what is going to be the same as a lot of other people, right? Like, what does your channel do? If you're like, well, I'm a gaming channel, I'm a Roblox channel, I am a personal finance channel, I am a tech channel, I am covering Apple products and Apple iPhone, channel. I help moms lose weight after pregnancy. Yeah, you and 1,000 other moms, maybe 10,000. I help people with taxes. I help people learn the Bible. Yeah, you and 1,000 other ministries, 10,000 other churches. So on the what level, it can be really frustrating because we're like, someone's already done it. Someone's already doing it. Someone's already, in my niche. Why even start? But the powerful thing is that we can actually go deeper. You do want to define your what, but the next level down, number 2, is your how. Now this starts getting a little real because this is your unique way of doing what you do. So a lot of people might have the same what as you. In fact, I guarantee you they do. If you're like, shoot, there's already 100 YouTube channels that are like mine, great. Well, here's how you can be different is figure out how you do what you do and kind of refine your proprietary process. One of my favorite examples is you think about something like coffee. Now, I'm a huge coffee drinker. If you're watching on the Think Media Podcast video, I've got coffee on the table. I did a whole AeroPress this morning. I had some brandy wine coffee roasters, unique Columbia, and my fellow burr grinder. Like, I'm pretty into coffee. Now, coffee is a major movement across the earth. And there's different people at different levels in their passion for coffee. Some people, they're cool with Keurig and some, just really basic Folgers coffee. Let me know what kind of coffee person you are. Other people want to go a little bit deeper. They want the Nespresso pods. And then other people are like Omar on the Think Media team, and he's going to have a custom roast, a custom blend. He's going to have a little scale to weigh out every little detail. And so the what can seem pretty similar. Are you a coffee drinker? Yeah. But if you even go into the how, now you're going a little bit deeper. And I think about it in a city, there's different types of coffee shops. You got like a Starbucks that's right in the middle. How they do coffee, a little bit different. It's consistent. It's not great, but it's going to be the same at every single Starbucks you go to, whether in the United States or even around the world. Another brand might be like McDonald's. Their how they do coffee is also different. It's going to be fast. It's going to be $1 for whether you want a small, medium, or large. Like their how is there. And then I think about local hipster coffee shops. Like here in Las Vegas, you've got Mothership Coffee, you've got Vesta Coffee Roasters. Their how is they put the art into it, the heart into it. They'll tell you where they source the beans and the roaster and the elevation where the beans were cultivated. And was it wash processed? How were the beans processed? So that's your approach to your niche. You might be kind of raw and off the cuff and you do live streams and you're not super into video production. You might be really into the art form and the storytelling. So 3 people could help moms lose weight after pregnancy. But when you step on YouTube, the how, some people just might kind of do talking head and you got a personality and you are straight to the point. You might be more funny and you come from a more funny approach. You might be a filmmaker and you're really into the lighting and the dynamics of it. There's so many different hows in terms of how you do your what. How do you do your what that makes you unique? At Think Media, there are certain distinctions we like to have. I think kind of some minimalist branding. We've always had that over the years. When it comes to our music, we like to have good music. And even using royalty-free services, we love like Epidemic Sound or MusicBed and different sources of music like that. But we have an ear for music. We care. Not everybody cares. They might just grab a song. That's a different what. It's a different approach to maybe thinking about fashion, music, lighting, video production. And your how can be a huge way of distinction. I'll think about your how this way. Who was your favorite teacher in elementary school or high school? Right? Like you went to all these different classes, math, history, English, geometry. That's math. It shows how good I am at math. And so think about your favorite teacher in elementary school. In high school for me, it was Bob Ruhlman. And it wasn't, I had many different history teachers, but I love Bob Ruhlman, not because of what he was teaching, history. Well, there are a lot of history teachers, but of how he taught. He was funny. He always saw the best in us as students. I remember my friend Spencer Hurst and I, we were not great students. We had a lot of distractions. We were making some bad decisions, but I just remember he always approached us with this air of grace, of encouragement, of calling the best out of us, of speaking life to us. Not every teacher did that. Some just showed up, checked the box, and did the what. He brought a certain how to it that made me his favorite teacher. You want to stand out on YouTube, think about how you can make your how better and not even try to do somebody else's how. What's going to be your unique approach? Are you a McDonald's? By the way, they do well. Are you a Starbucks? They do well too. Invested Coffee here in Las Vegas is opening up more locations. They're doing well as well. So think about your how. It can help magnetize and attract an audience to you and help you stand out in the midst of rising competition. Chick-fil-A, they serve me some crispy chicken and it's their pleasure. Dairy Queen, they'll give me a chicken sandwich. It's not their pleasure. Like there's no culture there. And how it might be the same chicken sandwich, but like it's not their pleasure. That's how. That's the approach. That's the flavor. That's the energy. That's the love that you put into your what that you're creating on YouTube. But friend, this is not even the deepest level. It might have been given away in the title of the book from Simon Sinek. Start with why. The deepest level is why do you do what you do on YouTube? And the mistake people make is that people start with what? Like, I am a tech channel. And Simon Sinek is trying to say in this massively global viral talk to leaders, to creators, to business owners, no, friends, start with why. If you're leading with your why, if you're leading with your values, if you're leading with your mission, if you're leading with your shared beliefs, if you're leading with those things that really connect people to you. Now, to be clear, if you're doing kind of a answer specific question video on YouTube, you don't just go, okay, we're going to get into the product review in just a second, but first let me tell you my 20-minute story. That's not what I'm suggesting. But I am suggesting that as you weave your why into your content, you are going to stand out and actually build a solid audience on YouTube. The reason this is the most powerful way for building an audience on YouTube is because people follow people with shared beliefs. And there's a difference between a view and there's a difference between a subscriber and a super fan. You know, you can get views on YouTube by maybe just answering a specific question, creating a certain type of video, having someone stop by your channel. But listen, if you want someone to stick, people follow people with shared beliefs. That's starting with your why. And listen, people connect with people that have similar values. So maybe this is counterintuitive because you felt like, I don't really want to share my values. I don't really want to amplify my beliefs. My channel is just about this particular topic. I'd like to play it neutral. I want to challenge you that actually by picking a side, by standing out and by planting your flag in regards to your values will actually polarize people to you as well as polarize people away from you. And that's a good thing because you don't need 1 million subscribers. You don't need 100,000 subscribers. You just need 1,000 true fans, 1,000 super fans, right? And this is actually a concept that in marketing is called values matching. That when you talk about your values, people connect with other people with shared beliefs. I'm sure you know it's probably certain people you follow on whatever platform. You probably follow them not just because of good content, but eventually you really connect with them. Why? Because of their beliefs and their values. And then conversely, you might follow somebody for a while that even has like good tips and maybe some stuff that you like, but eventually they start showing their values and you go, man, that's not my vibe. And you might even unfollow them or you pay less attention because there's either a synchronization of values or the values are out of match. And I remember that I used to be afraid to talk about my faith. I used to be afraid to talk about the fact I was a Christian. I used to be afraid to actually amplify the fact that family is my value and integrity is my value. And I believe we need more leaders on the planet right now. And I believe there's a lack of leadership for a lot of people. I believe that, you know, instead of playing it safe and sometimes maybe being polarizing by calling people out, calling men out and saying, man, you got to lead. You got to rise up. You got to lead your family. You got to stand for ethics. You got to stand for values. And that I believe in God. Like, that's not popular to say in 2021. And here's what I've learned. You might have just heard that and you've been like, I'm out of here. Well, cool. And I mean, much love and respect to you because that's probably good that we decide now that there's not a values match. But the flip side is you might go, come on, amen, you know, preach it, Sean. Like, and there's that side where we actually can go to a deeper level because there's other places you could learn YouTube. They're not as good. That's just my opinion. But there's other places where you could get information about, YouTube algorithm or this, that, or the other thing. I would imagine one of the reasons why you love the Think Media podcast is because we are bold about our values. Well, hey, why is not enough? You got to be good at your what, and you got to know your how, and you have to have that dialed in. But when you start with why and you amplify your why, you are going to attract over time a much more powerful audience than many on YouTube. And many are not even doing this. They're focused on just the what, maybe a little bit of the how, and they're not amplifying the why. And I believe that over the next month, the next 12 months, the next 2 years, that number one, here's the action items. What are your values? Sometimes you might not even really know, like, what are really your values? What do you stand for? What do you believe in? What do you want to weave into your content? Again, you don't have to talk about it. We don't mention our mission or our values on every single episode, but as people hang out with you over time, are they discovering your values and what you believe in? Number two, are you afraid to share your values? I want to encourage you. It actually is going to be a lot more helpful than hurtful because there might sure be a negative comment. There might be, somebody who disagrees with you. Hey, that's life. Everyone's going to have their own opinion. But what it'll end up doing is actually attracting the right people to you. In business, I actually think it's good to repel customers you don't want to work with and attract customers you do want to work with. Who would have thought? You know what I mean? Like if you're more, it's kind of like dating and marriage. Like would it be helpful to hide your values until you got married, only on the other side of marriage to discover that like, oh shoot, we don't even sync on any of our deepest values. So if you share them up front, then right at the beginning of the relationship, you can decide, hey, is this worth even exploring at the next level or not? So what are your values? Maybe consider this. What's the deeper mission behind your YouTube channel? What's your vision for your YouTube channel? What is your ideal vision for how you believe the world should be and how your YouTube channel wants to influence that? I mean, that could be whether it's Chana from Techno Dad, who's in our community. He does home theater stereo, but he believes that, we need to make home theater stereos great again. You know what I mean? Like we need better audio, better headphones. We need to have you're not even experiencing the movie if you're not getting all the sound. Like you don't necessarily have to go crazy deep, but then maybe there's a cause. Maybe there's something you're really committed to. Like at Think Media, we support 40 kids through Compassion International as a team because we care about generosity, giving back, and especially here in a first world situation, that there are people that don't live anywhere near the privilege and the opportunity that we have here in America. So we want to be anchored and continuously, our goal is to get that to 100 kids that are getting education and they're getting food. That's just like one of the things we do. It's one of our values. Like what are some of the causes? What is the bigger mission you are on when it comes to your YouTube channel? And I've learned that purpose-driven people and mission-driven brands and YouTube channels last so much longer, have so much more fortitude when things get hard when it comes to growing on YouTube. And you might be like, Sean, bro, I'm just trying to get a couple of views, dog. Like, I don't know. I just want to get my YouTube channel to like 5,000 subs. I want to challenge you. Capture a bigger vision, capture a bigger mission. And then finally, I want to encourage you too that this isn't something you can fake. That when it comes to values matching, I'm not suggesting that you go, what should my values be? So that I can weave that into my content to attract or connect with a particular audience. Because that would just be the worst life ever. Because you'd have to always keep up the facade of not actually just living out your values. Like for me, if I just lay all my cards on the table, I have a biblical worldview. The Christian Bible is what shapes my thinking. So why are we driven to generosity? Because I see that in the scriptures. I am a Jesus follower, so I'm doing my best, failing a lot and making mistakes all the time, but I don't consider my life my own. The final authority in my life is scripture and Jesus Christ. So that is what steers and guides and directs my life. And so when we have these values in our company, they're coming out of authenticity as opposed to saying like, oh, this would be a cool thing to do and it maybe be like a cool market to reach. I want to encourage you. Who are you when you really get squeezed? When you squeeze an orange juice comes out. When you get squeezed, what really comes out? But I also want to encourage you, this is what's going to help you blow up your YouTube channel, attract a powerful audience, and really build a community that can be exceptionally vibrant because people follow people with shared beliefs. Past podcast episodes, we talked about Seth Godin Tribes as one of our favorite books. It's the thing. It's like you're going to start gathering with actually a tribe that already has similar values. But when you amplify your values, amplify your why, please dial in your what even better, dial in your niche even better. Think about your how and how that can be sharper, but then really think about how you can amplify, communicate, and continue to go deeper with your why, with your vision, with your values, with your mission. And I promise you, you are going to see a stronger audience develop on YouTube, and it's going to help you stand out amongst the competition.
Wow. Well, I hope that brought you value and that you're going to take some time this week to sit down and write down what makes you different. What is going to draw someone to your content? And what is going to allow you to be the leader in the space that you are in? As we move forward, we are excited to share more about who we are inside of our 5-day free YouTube Income and Impact Challenge. This is really where you get to hang out with the Think Media team, and we're going to dive deep into challenging you to get the right videos out, to understand who your niche is and what you're doing on YouTube, and ultimately how to create a high profit YouTube channel that can allow you the freedoms and the lifestyle that you want. And so make sure you sign up at ytimpact.com. That's Y, the letter T, impact.com, and you can get registered for that free 5-day challenge. Well, if you got value out of today's episode, I want to encourage you to like and subscribe if you're listening or watching on YouTube. And if you have the time today, please go to Apple iTunes and rate and review this podcast. This helps us get the podcast in front of other purpose-driven entrepreneurs just like you, and allows more people to see the content that we're putting together to help them grow their YouTube channel as well. And you may just get featured on a future episode. And today's feature comes from To Someone, and they said, best YouTube guru. Love Sean and his team at Think Marketing. They don't just teach you the technical stuff, but also coach you through the ups and downs of creating and growing your YouTube channel. So good. Lots of exclamation marks in that one, To Someone. So thank you so much for being a part of our community, for leaving a review. It means the world to us. And if you have not shared this podcast with a friend, I want to encourage you that you probably know a content creator or someone who's creative or an entrepreneur in your life that needs to be starting on YouTube. So I want to encourage you to share this podcast with a friend who needs it. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.